Welcome back, everyone. I am Error, and I just got Dark Souls Remastered in the mail, and I cannot wait to start playing it. So that's what we are going to do. Now, I have played this game a lot, so this is going to be more of a, walkthrough kind of style of video. So I'll sort of teach you some of the tricks that I've learned and how to best get through some of the scenarios and deal with some of the bosses. And oh my god, privacy policies. Okay, geez. Let's get through that. Yeah, okay. Alright, here we go. So we got a new game. And brightness all the way up. Got to invert our y-axis. And I think everything else is going to be good there. Alright. Not going to spend a ton of time on character customization. Don't think we need to go all the way to deprived. Seems pretty well rounded. I do eventually want to dip pretty deep into intelligence, though. So I'm kind of tempted to go for a sorcerer because it already has a pretty big boost. But I kind of like to have some melee ability too. That seems pretty solid. We're going to start there. I'm thinking that the master key is still going to be pretty good to have. Yeah, okay. I don't think we're going to worry too much about customization here. Doesn't look like they gave us a ton of options here. Yeah, not much. It is an older game, so we'll forgive the fact that there's not a lot of options here. Okay. Oh, we got a name still. That's right. Enter character name. Make it simple. All right, accept. Let's do it.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn lord of sunlight and his faithful knights, and the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
Badass. I absolutely love the cutscenes in this series. And don't worry, everything that you just saw in that opening scene, you're going to have to go after and fight eventually.
The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
These graphics look really good compared to the original. Thanks. All right. So for those new to the series or video games in general, when you see those glowing blue lights, that means you got an item. Now, you'll see these orange messages on the ground all the time. In the tutorial area, these are just left by the game to teach you how to play. But when you're playing in the online mode, other players will leave these for you. And sometimes they will be helpful, and sometimes they will be traps. So just know that. Also, you'll see blood stains, and that will show you where somebody else died and how they died sometimes. You're not necessarily always going to get a lot of useful information out of those, but sometimes they are interesting. You'll also notice whenever you perform an action like attacking or rolling or even sprinting, the green stamina bar will go down. you do not want to be caught with that green stamina bar empty. You will be in really bad shape if you're fighting an enemy and that goes all the way to the bottom. So, stamina is an incredibly important attribute to level up. And there's a lot of it, but put points into it early and often. These will become extremely wonderful to find. They sort of act as your save points. When you rest at them, it not only does it restore and creates a checkpoint, but it also respawns all the enemies everywhere, so just be aware of that. Does not open from this side, that's right. I'm gonna go this way, I think. And you'll see a bloodstain here. Lots of bloodstains in this room. Because, holy crap, it's a giant demon. Now, that's one of the first sort of traps of the game. You do not want to try to fight him there, because all we have is this busted sword. We need to go through the rest of the tutorial area and gather some more items before we're ready to take him on. Get your shield. I think there's an archer here, isn't there? Yeah. Yep, definitely an archer. Alright. So options is our menu. Now, there isn't a pause function in this game, just so you know. So when we're in our menu there, we can still be attacked. Now that I have a shield, I can guard with it. I can also sort of do a attack with it or a parry with it. We're definitely going to want to run at this guy with our shield raised so he can't shoot us more. And in fact, if you're using a build that uses a shield, which I like to do, I think sword and board in these games is excellent. If you're not really certain of what's going to happen in a particular area, you want your sword out, or you want your shield up, just so you can deflect an ambush, because that happens a lot. I will also notice, note that when you're done equipping, you need to press circle twice, because we're in our equipment menu still, and if you try to attack, you're just going to move left and right in the menu. So avoid frustration for yourself there. Also, locking on is pretty good. You don't have to do it always, but locking on is a good way to take on especially single enemies. Although there definitely will be some parts where you don't want to lock on, and I will point those out as we get to them. Alright, see a guy in there. And here we are outside of our original room. You'll see an item up there. We can't get to it yet. We will have to come back to the tutorial area much, much later. I guess we don't have to. It is optional. This is sort of one of the secrets of this game. The second time, anyway. But I will definitely show you how to do that when the time comes. We can also go down here and unlock this door. And that brings us out to our original bonfire here. Kind of regretting taking this build. Just because it seems like I am incredibly overburdened with this armor. You can hear me making clunking noises. And I'm not moving very fast, which is not how I like to play this game. So we're going to have to put some points into stamina real quick here. Also, you definitely want to go back and explore this room. That's one of the most important things I can tell you. It's vital to talk to this guy.
You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Of course.
I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Sure, so I guess they make it so you can't skip it because he's got the key. I forgot about that. So anyway, your Estus flask is sort of a portable, refreshable healing item. So in other words, when you get low on health, you can press square to take a swig from it and regain some health. Every time you rest at a bonfire, it will replenish itself back up to full. So it's kind of a nice touch. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to probably lose some of this armor and downgrade the armor a little bit when we get some lighter equipment, because I am not rolling very well. And rolling is very important in this game. I don't tend to dual hand wield or use any of those other fancy tricks too often, although they can be really useful. Again, everything's situational. Shot with an arrow. That's not cool. These beginning enemies don't do a ton of damage to you, so I mean, you don't have to worry about it too much. The exception is this guy in here. This guy is actually pretty tough. But if you know how to handle him, it's not too bad. You can get behind him and do a backstab, you can take him out pretty easily. That being said, we can't actually get in there yet. So you really don't even need to come in here, but if you decide to take him out, that's how you do it. Okay. Now, this is good to note, because we're going to need to do this to give us the best shot at beating this boss in here. Because now we're back in this main room. We want to jump off and do a plunging attack. And it'll take out about a third of his health. From that point on, keep your shield up, because that was a shield hit. Ew, and that was not a shield hit. I cannot roll very well, and I don't like that. With big enemies, believe it or not, it's a lot better to stay near them. Unless he does that, and then you back up. It's a lot easier to dodge when you're right up next to him. Assuming you don't do that. I'll also say, it takes a little getting used to, but unless you're actively guarding with your shield, it's usually best not to be holding your shield up in a big fight like this, because it's going to recharge a lot more slowly if you're holding your shield up. So really, you just got to be patient, dodge his attacks if you can, get the swings in when you can. Again, it depends a little bit on your playstyle too and the character you chose. You know, we can tank the hits a little bit better. If you've got a squishier beginning character, you probably want to play it a little bit more safe. But you'll also be faster, so you've got an advantage there too. Oh! Alright, we probably want to take some Estus if we can manage it. Yeah, big time. Yep, Estus time. Uh-oh. Oh! Take another one. There we go. Alright, we got him. We're good to go. And we got the big Pilgrim's Key. And we got a humanity, which is also good. I'll show you how to use that in a minute. Don't bother smashing these pots because there's nothing in them. I should also say that bosses don't respawn when you use a bonfire, so that would be the exception. The regular enemies will respawn, and sometimes there are some bigger enemies that you might think of as somewhat boss-like. But that particular enemy will not respawn after you use a bonfire. I feel like there's something out here still. Is there an item down here? Yes, there is. Soul of a Lost Undead. You'll see those. They're sort of consumable items that give you souls. So as normally when you die, you drop all your souls. Those ones you won't, so you can use those at any time. There's also this crow's nest here, and we'll come back to that. There's a few items that you can drop in the crow's nest, and then sort of trade them for a different item. And there's some really good stuff you can get out of there, actually, so... I think that's it for the starting area.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen.
Believe it or not, that's a good bird.
To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
Alright, so this will show you a couple other features of bonfires. You can level up. So this is where you use your souls. And of course, every level you need more souls to gain more ability points. You increase your ability points one at a time. And as you can see, you can sort of preview what happens and then eventually finalize your changes. Looks like we are set to gain 3 more levels here. Vitality is going to boost your hit points, mostly. Attunement is related to the number of spells that you can have equipped at a time. And as you can see, pretty much everything raises your defense slightly as well. Endurance is going to raise your stamina and your equip load. Strength does exactly what it sounds like. It raises your strength. Dexterity is also kind of a strength stat. Different weapons are either going to be reliant on strength or dexterity. So it really just depends on what you want to be using. If you're going to be using things, for example, like axes and short swords, strength is going to be what you want to use. A dexterity is going to be for bows. It's a really good option, or things like katanas. Resistance is basically garbage. I don't think I've ever put a point into resistance. I mean, as you can see, every stat raises your defense by a little bit. It looks like in this case, it's raising it by 1 point in most categories. Resistance essentially doubles that, but it doesn't give you any other benefits. I don't know. There might be a case for it, but I don't think you ever want to put points into resistance. Intelligence is going to be spell damage. And certain weapons are buffed by intelligence as well. For example, if you have like an enchantment on a weapon. And then faith is going to be sort of healing power. So miracles, they call them. And then certain weapons are buffed by faith as well. So that's just sort of a rundown. At this point, I'm going to put everything into endurance. I feel like our endurance stat is low, and we started with heavy armor and weapons. So for this particular character build, that's the most important right now. I would say for a typical build, if you're just going to focus on, hand-to-hand fighting, vitality, endurance, and strength are the 3 you should be focusing on. Again, I'm going to sort of make this like a sort of a spell sword combination class. So as soon as I get some actual spells, I'm going to start buffing intelligence as well, because I'll probably put an enchantment on my sword at some point too. So I'm not going to go all into strength, but I'll probably split strength and intelligence down the road. But at least for now, endurance and vitality are pretty good for any class. So we're going to do that, and we're going to accept. And we locked in. Covenant, that's sort of a clan that you can join in-game. We'll talk more about that later. Kindling, can't kindle while hallowed, but if we were... I thought we had a humanity. Am I wrong in that? Oh, I know what we need to do on that. Okay. So, humanity, you have to use them first. And as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, our humanity goes up to 1. That is also lost whenever you die, so be careful with that. We're going to reverse hollowing. And that's going to do a couple of things for us. If you notice now, whereas before we looked like a zombie, now we look like a person again. It is going to open us up to be able to summon friendly players into our game, for example, to help with boss fights. It's also going to open us up to other other player characters invading our game. So that is kind of a fun little addition. Also, there's 3 humanity there, which I happen to remember. So what this also allows us to do If I can remember to use them. I'm just going to use one of them for now. It will allow us to kindle this bonfire. Or normally it would be able to, but I guess we can't here. And what that does is it allows you to get more Estus Flask charges. So, we got our Estus Flask. We started at 5 charges, and leveling or resting here gives us 10. If we had kindled it, we would be able to get even more out of that. So there are going to be a few bonfires that will be worth kindling and some that will not be worth kindling. This is sort of the exact dead center of the game, and we're going to be returning here a lot. This one probably will be worth kindling eventually, but obviously we can't do it yet. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to take a look at our equipment, because our equip load is not so great right now. So let's take a look here. Equip load is 31 of 53. So that's a little bit better now that we leveled up, but I'm still rolling and moving very slowly. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to equip some of this stuff. We don't need all of it at this point. Okay, here we go. So we can see our equip load, and we can see... How can we see the actual weight of the item? Just by equipping and unequipping? Oh, here we go. So I think this is saying it weighs 4.2 pounds. I think that's the far right stat. Yeah. So that's 10.9, 3.5, 6.4, no rings yet. So the knight armor is by far the heaviest piece of equipment. It also probably gives us the most defense, honestly. I think the far left stat is the defense stat. We're just going to try unequipping that and seeing how we move. So, obviously, it's not the most protection. We're rolling a little bit better. And I'll sort of give you the comparison here. If we just take everything off, like we're rolling super quick there, like right back on our feet. And I think quick rolls like that, you need to maintain at or under a quarter of your equip load. And we've got 6 pounds tied up in our sword and shield. This shield is probably really heavy, isn't it? Yeah, 3 pounds. That's not that bad, actually. So let's see what we can get away with here. I think those are pretty light. Alright, so we're not doing the quickest possible roll there. Let's put the helmet on and take the pants off. We're still rolling a little slowly. So as you can see, it doesn't take a lot. We just do the helmet. Alright, if we just do the helmet, we're good. I think I would rather be quick, which is probably a stupid idea taking this class, but let's see if we do just the pants. Can we get away with that? Yeah, okay. That might be what we have to do for now. I think we tried pants and gauntlets, and that was slow. Okay. Or, not slow, but not as quick as we could be. Alright, so I think we are going to be sort of barbarianing it here for a minute here, and working up to our knight armor, but at least we have the knight armor, and it's not taking up any... It's not... The weird thing about this game is it doesn't actually... You know, you don't have an inventory space. Like, you can carry every item in the game, and it's not going to encumber you at all. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just what you have equipped. So, we're going to work our way up to it. I think... Let me take a look at our character. Our vitality is already at 14. That's our highest stat, and that determines our hit points. So I think we're going to be okay. And our shield is pretty good from what I see here. Let me actually look at the shield. So, wow, it's actually 100% physical reduction. That's really rare for this point in the game. So it's actually a really good shield. Like, it's not that great against magic. And what those numbers mean... So 100 for damage reduction percentage there. You'll see physical is 100%. If you take a shield hit from a physical attack, it's going to deal 0 damage to you. And then stability relates to how much stamina you lose, but you're going to be losing stamina and not hit points. That's the whole point. Magic, it's only going to stop 30% of a magic attack, so it's not great there, but at least in terms of physical attacks, this is actually a really good shield to start with. So... I would say that would be a strong argument for this character. So anyway, yeah, that's really good. So I'm going to stop here before we get into all of this. And then we'll pick up where we left off in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if it helped you out, subscribe to my channel, give me a like, share the video if you want, and we'll see you next time.